One, granted the level of intimidation that we have experienced and we have been experienced, we pray to the court to make an order that police officers should not appear before this court armed. Yesterday, this morning, Police Officer Constable Eric Maina came to court armed. With 2 guns. When they appear before this, you and the owner, they don't appear as police officers, they appear as witnesses. Number 2, Your Honor, note that our clients were not before you in the morning. And not that they're not within the reach of this court. They are still within the reach of this court. But the police have barred them to appear before you. So they are basically frustrating the hearing. While we are so eager, determined, vigor, and ready to proceed. You know, this is only you who can rescue us from this ignominious disrespect, violation, transgressions, intimidations of this nature. Nobody says, I want to become a tyrant. They execute actions of tyranny, and people accommodate those aspects without question. Eventually, you end up realizing that we have a tyrant, we have a dictator. So this is a new era where the court must rise up and defend the Constitution. As from the bar, Your Honor, from the bar, we have done enough. We have done what we could. We have protested enough, Your Honor. We have done all what we could do to demonstrate the aspects of the tyranny that this regime is trying to execute on its citizens. So, Your Honor, I do not know what the bar can do further than that. We leave you as ourselves. We leave the Kenyans who are coming to attend this court today and the 4 accused persons at your mercy. If this baby dies, Your Honor, it will die on your hands. If the patient dies, Your Honor, the patient will die on your operation table. And the court in this case is not just a mortician. The court has the capacity to rescue the patient. And the only way to rescue the patient is to summon the police commandant so that he can understand that he is under the jurisdiction of this court. To come and tell us the reasons behind the staging of the combat. And also to tell us where are our clients. Where are our clients? Adjournment of the case is one limb, but even pursuing this issue to the logical conclusion is also another issue. Number 2, the Chief Justice can also issue an address to the public to tell us that police officers have now become members of the judiciary. That is also can be taken from the Chief Justice. Otherwise, Your Honor, from where we stand, we are still willing to appear before you and proceed, being the other option. Subject to the summoning of the commandant. Your Honor, rise up and protect the Constitution. Rise up and protect the miserable, vulnerable people of the Republic of Kenya who do not have the capacity and the muscle that the state is exhibiting this morning. Number 3, finally, let the commandant come and tell us how unique this case is from others that are also before you. So that then we understand we are not just dealing with a question of access to justice and fair administration of justice and Article 50. We are now outside the armpits of the Constitution. We are now mundu kwa mundu. So that we understand, if I borrow that terminology. Yona, I leave it to you to make that intervention.
Article 50 provides, is more explicit. I don't want to read, I'm sure there is a presumption that every lawyer and the magistrate is a lawyer, has read the law or will read the law. So I will leave it to you to go and read it. I think this matter cannot proceed. And if it does not, you direct that it proceeds in spite of my submission, I will promise you, as an officer of this court and with reference to your authority as a magistrate of this court, I will not come and sit here and countenance the misbehavior of the state against the accused persons whom we represent. I'll walk away. They will have a right to look for another lawyer if they want, or you'll make your directions. But I'm not, that's not a threat, it's a promise. Thank you.
Your Honor, Kenya is a democracy governed by the rule of law and due process. We consulted in the morning and reached an agreement with Mr. Njenga. We walked all the way to the gate and spoke to the in charge. I witnessed that. And we agreed with Mr. Maina and the court administrator that they create two courts. Because of logistics, they created two courts to allow people to come in. What is surprising is that even after doing that, then the following were arrested as they were trying to access to court. Julius Kanene Boche, Jason Macharia Muriri, Julius Kanene Boche, Jason Macharia Muriri, James Ghana Mwangi. Number one is Julius Kanene Boche. Number two is Jason Macharia Muriri. Number three is James Ghana Mwangi. Number four is James Maina Mwangi. Number five is a young man who assists me in my office called Simon Ndegwa Waipiga. They are in police custody. They cannot access court. In addition, two or three accused persons are not present because when we broke, four. When we went out to arrange the logistics, they went to take a cup of water and then they were restrained. So this is an emerging issue because we are dealing with the issue initially and they concluded that we are proceeding. Now, it is emerging that the police are so determined because as we went out, and Mr. Munga can bear me witness, there are two police vehicles that have blocked this road. One on the southern side and the one on the north, where you cannot access the road technically because they have blocked the road. So, Your Honor, these constitutional provisions that have been read to you by my learned colleague, particularly Article 48 of the Constitution, are not just paper aspirations. They are not just declarations. It is our Constitution. And if you look at the Article 3.2 of the Constitution, it is very clear that each one of us has a duty to uphold the Constitution and defend it. When you look at the preamble, Your Honor, so that we are all on the same page, you look at the preamble, it is very clear. It states that recognizing the aspirations of all Kenyans for a government based on the essential values of human dignity, equality, freedom, democracy, social justice, and the rule of law. That is our aspiration. The aspiration that we are governed by the law, so that all of us are subject of the law. But we are now beginning to see that the police are the law into themselves, because they are defying the court, they are defying the lawyers, they are defying themselves. So they are defying everybody. So we wonder which kind of state is this. And any state officer, Your Honor, no matter how high ranking they are, who are advocating for this kind of anarchy that we are seeing out here, that officer should never be a public officer in 2027. And our cries will be heard by God, that these state officers who are using impunity and the political power to harass others, they will be dealt with by Kenyans in 2027.
If not earlier.
So, Your Honor, I rest my case and I pray that can the police allow us to practice and proceed with our case, because we came here to hear the case. But the police are preventing us from proceeding with the case.
Sorry, I shouldn't be rising, but something crossed my mind about what has just happened to the 4 accused persons who are missing from court now, though they were here in the morning. There was a man called Kimani Ruo. I don't remember the name, but I remember his lawyer was Kibe Mungai, who is my friend. He appeared before the court in what is the current Supreme Court, but was then the High Court building. He disappeared with no trace to date. The court must stop this madness. We don't know what will happen with those men. The police might come with the prosecutor here, the able prosecutor, my friend, Mr. Njenga, whom I have learned to respect from yesterday, because when we met. It is possible that these fellows will disappear and the police will come and say, we don't know where they are. We don't know where they went, because they went to have tea and then they disappeared. They will say they absconded. But remember, Your Honor, that they have been faithfully coming to court when required. There is a lady called Njiru, purported to have imported fuel of money that I'm envious about. I'm sure the court would be envious personally, because 17 billion is not small money. It's money I don't want to have because I don't know what I will do with it. She also disappeared, having been arrested by the police. And the police are prevaricating on what happened. The point I'm making to emphasize myself is really that the judiciary, and this court particularly, is the last beacon of hope. The police are crossing the Rubicon. They have crossed the red line. If they are not shown that they have crossed the red line, who will? What will? How will they be stopped? They might just kill me outside here and say Mr. Ndubi committed suicide by exposing himself to a bullet. So this court has a duty to tell the police you can't do this, to tell the prosecution, and I am not blaming the prosecutor, but the prosecution as a representative of the state, that we are not going to allow you to subordinate the court to its whim. What the police are doing, they will come here and say, we had instructions, like you heard the witness yesterday saying we had instructions from someone. But they are not saying they had judicial instructions. It is time every judicial officer in this country rose to the occasion and stopped the police and the prosecution from abusing the power they are endowed with by the law. They have the power of the gun, the power of the penal code, the power of the CPC, the power of the Evidence Act, but they are not beyond the power of a judicial officer. You must express our anger, not to feel emotional about the way we feel, but express our anger to the state and tell the state, you cannot abuse my power, you cannot insult my power as a judicial officer, and you cannot intimidate persons who are subject to my jurisdiction. Even if they brought those 4 accused persons who are missing right here now and say, oh, they were outside taking tea. It is my submission that it is no longer possible to have a fair, free, public trial. And therefore, this matter must be adjourned sine, or give us a mention date when they will have that command. And yesterday I met the county CCIO. He's a friend of mine, I know him from Nairobi. How he mobilized these people to come here and intimidate us, I have no idea. And he's a fine man. He's a very fine man if you look at him. But when they use state power, they can abuse it while looking at the back. And it is only you, the judicial officer, who can face them and tell them, I can see beyond you. It is not possible that this matter should proceed at all today or tomorrow. Mr. Njenga can go back and take instructions as to why there are police officers around the court. They have barricaded the court. They are actually abusing. If you allowed me to say, they are violating and defiling the entire judiciary of Nakuru. Not just Nakuru, but the entire judiciary, by barricading the court and stopping public to come in, including accused persons. And there might be others who should be, like I said earlier, I shouldn't be spending too much time on it, people who could be in other courts. It is shameful, very, very shameful. Let the Chief Justice know, let the President of the Republic know that it is very shameful to barricade a judicial organ from executing its functions. From trying to even stop a lawyer of my age. I'm a grandfather. And they wanted to stop me from coming in. How can they? How dare they? And when I ask them, who are you? They are not introducing themselves. They are not telling me who is the boss. I actually did some civic education out there, and they told me, just go away. We know what we are doing. And you, I'm sure that, Your Honor, with respect, without bragging, I know that you probably know my reputation of doing civic education. I did that, and they told me to walk away. And I walked away. I took 1/2 cup of tea, and in obedience to your orders, I came back without finishing the cup of tea. Thank you.
I do not know what the Constitution says in terms of, are they ready to proceed in the absence of accused persons? I think this move by the police is in panic, and they want an adjournment through the back door to say that we cannot proceed because of absence of some key person. That is born out of panic and out of fear because of the embarrassment the prosecution suffered instantly. Somebody somewhere is panicking, very badly, and it is telling. That's what you want.
You know, just 1 minute. I'm informed that Mr. Njenga, who is the OCS, is before this court. He has voluntarily presented himself before you, and is in charge of that command. Perhaps he needs to explain to us what is happening. Mr. Njenga is seated just behind you in combat.
It's further evidence of intimidation of the court.
If I may respond briefly. Yes, Your Honor. Let me start by saying that the Honorable Court is intelligent, and all the counsels we are intelligent, Your Honor. And from what the defense is raising, Your Honor, it's clear that it's blowing both hot and cold, yeah, at the same time. On one hand, Your Honor, my learned colleague blowing hot air. Njiru is saying that they are not direct to proceed. And my learned senior says that this matter cannot proceed. And he went to the extent of promising the court that for whatever means this matter will not proceed. Your Honor, in the morning an application was made for an adjournment. We proceeded well, and we agreed that we resume for hearing. Your Honor, arrangements were made. Extra space ahead, Your Honor. But it is surprising, Your Honor, that 2 or 4 accused persons are missing. They were in the morning, and now they are missing. And they want to lie to the court that it's the police who are preventing the accused person from accessing the court. Your Honor, as a matter of fact, one of the accused person, that's the second accused person, as we were proceeding, was just outside here, and it does not want to come without consent. Your Honor, clearly these are planned by the defense to cause the accused persons, Your Honor, not to appear before you.
May I object to that line of submission by my colleague, Mr. Maina, if you may allow me? I want to object to what you're saying. Because first he has used in judicial language saying that we are lying. What he could have said is that we have misled the court. 2, he's making an allegation of fact that the second accused was outside here, and that the defense has caused this absence so that we do not proceed. Those are facts that must be adduced in an affidavit so that we can challenge them. That person is accessible, would be accessible to us if the police did not interfere. it is improper and injudicious for a colleague, a lawyer, to insinuate that officers of the court, even though they are defense lawyers, are deliberately misleading the court and lying to the court and manipulating the judicial system by causing the absence of another person, of an accused. We are interested to be paid as defense lawyers. So how can we get paid if the person who is accused cannot attend court? Like I said earlier, it is shameful. I would like my colleague to retract those words and that statement and do not go to the direction of purporting that we caused the absence of the accused person. I hope in the fullness of his address, he will explain the presence of the police. And by the way, I did not have occasion to add to what Mr. Ndegwa said. They are not just two vehicles. There are about 5 of them. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Maina, without implying what Mr. Ndubi has faced.
Let me proceed from where
Limit yourself to what can be advanced in the back. And not insinuating issues that require.
if I may,
Yes.
you allowed the defense, Your Honor, to raise facts.
Yes, just
You say that accused persons have been arrested, and it's proper also I raise facts which I know, and there is the investigating officer here who can confirm that the accused person was just outside as we are speaking. So it's not proper that the defense is allowed to raise issues of fact of arrest, and the defense and the prosecution not to be allowed to state fact the way they are. Because those are facts, Your Honor.
Mr. Ndubi, Mr. Njiru, Mr. It did not say that Mr. Njenga caused the disappearance. What we mentioned, I don't have any issue with your statement, but the insinuation that it is the defense who caused.
Your Honor, I was.
Yes.
I have reasons to believe so, and that sounds really so. One is that I was rudely interrupted.
What we might want to advise him is to file a complaint to the Law Society that Harun, Ndubi, Ex-Mungiki, and Mr. Njiru have done the following things. They can't say those things before you without an affidavit.
Your Honor, if you allow me, I finish.
Yes,
So you can, Your Honor, clearly, the defense has not been ready to proceed with this matter. And the same is evidenced by what is happening. You guided us in the morning, the same was complied with. The police officers were told to allow people to come to court, people were allowed to come. And there is no basis or reason whatsoever, Your Honor, for saying that there are some other people have been prevented. Your Honor, the court can go outside and confirm that no one has been prevented from accessing the court, Your Honor. Another issue, Your Honor, which has been raised is to summons the police commander. Your Honor, that request is baseless. No material has been placed before you to support their request. Your Honor, I have information from the OCS, Central Police Station, Your Honor, who is in charge, that no person has been arrested and no person has been prevented from coming to the court. Pursuant, Your Honor, to the guidelines which you issued earlier and which we implemented, Your Honor, together with my colleagues. Your Honor, in the circumstances, considering that the accused persons who were here in the morning were present when the court directed that the matter must proceed, I pray that the warrant of arrest be issued against them for absconding for reasons known better by them. And I pray, Your Honor, that their cash bails be forfeited. And lastly, Your Honor, I reiterate the submissions which I made in the morning, that we are ready to proceed with 6 witnesses, Your Honor, who have been in court since morning. And I pray that the matter proceeds in the absence of the accused persons who have decided to abscond court. That will be all.
Your Honor, these are exceptional circumstances. Nobody could have contemplated that when we come, we were ready to proceed with 6 witnesses. Even now we are ready to proceed. So nobody should use that excuse that we are not ready. We are well prepared, our files, we are well prepared. The challenge is, who would have contemplated that when we come to court, we will have obstruction from the police? Number 2, who would have contemplated that when we come to court and we go out, either to wash our hands or to do some activity, we are restrained by the police from accessing the court? Your Honor, we can have a walk with you. You let us just walk and you will see there are not one vehicle, but about 5 police cars blocking this road that accesses this court. So that we forget about these side shows and the games being played by the police. We don't blame Mwenga. I know it is beyond Mwenga. This is a game being played by high stake. It is a succession, it is a 2027 issue. That is what is at play, Your Honor. I know that. So my take on this is that in 2027, Kenyans will decide their destiny. And we have no interest. As we are interested in this case, the facts and the law about this case. Can the police allow us to proceed with this case? Can the police allow the 4 accused persons? It will not be fair to apply for warrants because that is a strange application. In our application, we never deal with the issues of warrants. So the reply at the reply state that you issue warrants, Your Honor, there will be no basis whatsoever to issue warrants for people who are here, but they have been blocked to come back by the police. The state, which is represented by Mr. Mwenga, should simply tell the police that they are undermining the rule of law and due process. Let them allow the accused person to come back to court. So, Your Honor, as you retire to make your ruling, and we are indicating and reiterating that we are ready to proceed, if the police can allow us space to be able to exercise our professional training and skills to represent accused persons. So we have nothing else. That's why we have no issue even with the prosecution, because we know it is beyond them. And we have no issue even with the investigating officers. We know, Your Honor, these are messengers. They are being sent. We know the kingpins. Yeah, we know the kingpins. They are in Nairobi. So, but we will deal with them square in 2027.
May you permit me to just add one little point in addition to what Mr. Ndegwa has said. Mr. Mwenga, in reply, has failed to respond to the fact that there are police officers outside and on the road restraining people from accessing the court. He's inviting you to walk and watch and look outside here. Of course, you will find nobody because they have not been allowed to access the court, and they knows it. More importantly, why should he rely on what he calls your guidelines? He said pursuant to guidelines issued by you. Which guidelines beyond the Constitution? The Constitution allows a court to be open to the public. And the public, therefore, must be allowed to drive in, to walk in, to lane in, whatever it is, so that they are able to get to court. Lastly, I'm actually surprised by my colleague's submission that you issue a warrant of arrest against a person who was here in the morning before you, until you adjourned, and he was here yesterday when we started the hearings. If the court and my colleagues, and this is where I probably would slightly but politely differ with my colleagues, anyway, there is a technology malfunction. I was saying, lastly, without strictly differing with my colleagues, but it's my view, and it's a personal view, that it's no longer possible to hold a fair trial in the circumstances we have been exposed to. Whether we were ready or not, and we were indeed ready, but what the police have done is such that to intimidate the court, to subvert the law, and subvert the due process. It is not possible to do a good case. But if anyone wants us to get to appeal and get an acquittal on appeal, and I'm not insinuating that you are going to convict, but if that's what anyone imagines, it is possible. But I think from the depth of my heart and my professional experience, it is not possible to have a fair, free trial if we are going to have armed police officers here, uniformed police officers in combat there, except court orderlies, and those who are stopping members of the public from accessing this court and other courts. I leave it with the court, and thank you.